Hello and welcome to this Eyes of Harmony First Thoughts to It Takes You Away, episode 9 of series 11 of Doctor Who. And Conrad, what did you think?
This episode is a bunch of interesting ideas that just doesn't quite come together in my view. It's not a bad episode by any means, but there's a few aspects that really kind of let it down to me, plus, a bit of missed potential in places and whatnot. I mean, it could have been better is the point. What we got is, interesting. And there are certainly some really strong moments, but I kind of end up feeling maybe a little underwhelmed. I don't know. It's difficult. I don't quite know how I'd rank it yet. Maybe it's because I came in with different expectations. I mean, not that I don't have legitimate issues with it, but yeah. I don't know about it. I don't know.
I really enjoyed it actually. For this one, there were some bits I didn't like and some bits I really did like. But it was more I liked than didn't like. I felt this episode had the best Doctor moment in my eyes. Not like it just felt like she had a really clear personality in this episode as the Doctor, like a very clear. Like, you got it. Like,
what was that?
Kind of a way she was handling the situation. Just kind of a way she was throughout the episode. I really was I
just kind of remember it being flustered. I don't really.
I like when she was talking about the solid tract, and how she was kind of working it out what a solid tract kind of universe would do.
I mean, that kind of comes out of nowhere because there's no real hints to it, and that could have been a thing at any point at any time in the Doctor's history, and suddenly now that's
it happens,
this big thing this appears.
I like the anti-zone. It felt very classic Who actually, especially the creature inside it. I'm not even sure what it was. Ribbons, I think his name was.
Well, they never explained really why he's there.
I think it's just a creature of the anti-zone. They just are born there. But yeah, and then the moths. I mean, he died pretty horribly, which I thought was quite.
Yeah, well, it's like he's presumably been there a long time, and out of all the times he suddenly decides, drops the ball and ends up getting himself killed. It just happens to be this time. That's awfully convenient.
True. I did like the moment where the Doctor wrote on the wall about her dad being dead because she was blind, so she couldn't see.
Yeah, and that would have been a good moment. In fact, a lot of moments would have been a good moment. But honestly, and I'll get straight into my biggest problem with this episode is Ryan, specifically the performance. It was so flat that so many emotional scenes that should have been good were just completely ruined, in my view, because there's just no emotion in them. There's nothing. When they're talking about, when Ryan goes, "Oh, your dad's probably gone," it's just no emotion. Or when they go in and when he's having to talk to Hannah, and he's and they have to be together. It's just he doesn't change. And then the kicker was the last grandpa line because Bradley Walsh is putting his all. He's putting his all into it, Bradley Walsh, and Ryan's just like, "Oh yeah, Grandpa. I don't have to say it." It's just so flat. It's just so plain, and he's had a little bit of that issue throughout, but it's not been as much of a problem as it has been in this episode. Honestly, I'd go as far as to say I think that's the worst performance I've seen in a Doctor Who episode since I last watched The Dominators. It bugged me so much, and I was just hands in my face, no, you should have said. Why? No, there's no No, sorry,
wow.
I vented.
I didn't. I think I didn't like that they dropped the granddad thing there. I thought there could have been a much more powerful moment where they use that, and it pretty much confirms that Bradley Walsh is not going to die because one, the New Year's Day photos, and two, that would have been the best moment before he died, and they've kind of used it.
Well, they still never mentioned the cancer again.
Yeah. Well, I liked the kind of it was a bit like Coraline in some ways, the kind of opposite world, kind of trying to trap them in there with the perfect versions of their lost ones. Like I liked it, like how it was almost Grace, and she was like, Ryan will be fine. Like, and Bradley Walsh's performance was just,
and that's what I mean. That's a really interesting idea, and like I think. I mean, I guess they did it in the best way, certainly, and as you say, Bradley Walsh, I mean, here especially, just utterly sells it. Like, he's compared to everybody else, he is far and above the strongest performer, like, just outright, Although, I'd have to say, I really did actually quite like Hannah's performance this episode, actually. She did good. Yeah, I mean, interesting idea, executed generally pretty well, although, the thing that kind of bugged me was, like, when they were being knocked back into the anti-zone. Yeah, it was just like, well, for one, the moment that they start not acting like it when they start pushing it back, why is that not the moment where they decide to turn around and go, oh, this isn't them? Why does it take, like, Grace saying something wrong? Yeah. And second off, the cutting on that was weird. Like, it just didn't feel right.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't notice it. It didn't stick out. It didn't stick out to me as much as the Witchbinders.
No, admittedly it didn't. It wasn't as bad as that. It was a little off, just not, not on that level though. Another big issue I have with it was the fact that they do it in Norway and everything, but they don't really do anything with that.
With Norway,
because well, as someone who very briefly lived in Scandinavia, I have a lot of affection to like the landscapes and whatnot, and certainly it was kind of nostalgic seeing the kind of the house design and the environment to it, but they should have done something with it. Like, the monster in the wood, they should have, even if they do continue with the whole microphone thing, which, but it's kind of an interesting twist, although it still might have been cool.
I thought
they
revealed it a bit early.
Yeah, that too. But they could have said it was a troll or something. That would have, fit into Norwegian folklore then, or something from that. And also, as my parents pointed out, they have this massive, great big lake, which of course reflects stuff. Why did they use a mirror?
Yeah.
They should have just jumped into the lake. That would have been not only more visually interesting, but would have actually used the location to advantage. But no, it was just the mirror. You know how cool that would have been if they just peeked into the river and with the water and tried to, there was no reflection there. The mirror was fine, but it's not,
Yeah.
Like they could have had this episode anywhere, really. They should have done something with other than the occasional joke at noise, which I have to say as well, the humour really didn't work in this episode. Like, it just didn't for me.
Yeah, the sheep thing was a bit weird at the beginning.
Yeah, and they do the whole thing with eating the dirt and all the all the pheasants hang up and stuff. It just, none of it was funny. This episode worked a lot better when it tried to be serious than it did.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've been very negative. Yeah, as I said, certain aspects of this work really well. Like, when they're in the other dimension, it works really well. And actually, when they're thinking there is a beast and they're, fearful of that, the doctor's running about closing doors and Hannah's scared under the table. Like, there are some good moments. I just don't really think it all meshes, and I think there's so many problems between that it just, I just don't entirely like it. I mean, it's not bad, certainly not bad, but it's, I feel like they could have done more of everything, really, and they should have done this better or that better, and Ryan should have really got a harsh director talking to.
I just find it weird. Again, it was Bradley Walsh's character who gets the front and center. Like, when is Yaz's? Which is supposed to be Yaz's episode? Was that supposed to be Arachnids?
I think it was. Yeah, well, that and Demons of the Punjab, I think, was supposed to be her episode.
This is the issue with Free Companions.
Yeah.
You just can't do it.
I think I said this even before the series began, that this was probably going to be an issue.
I mean, it never really worked in the Peterson era. That's why they slowly got rid of Free.
Yeah.
It only worked in the classic era because you had, one story lasted the length of a feature film. You know, so every episode. So really, if there weren't 3 companions, the way they would have made it work is every story has 2 parts to make it feature length.
Even in the original series, the way they always put priority on one character rather than the other. You know, like, you know, in the Daleks, I think Ian got a lot of screen time as opposed to Barbara, who, you know, was mostly not minus a few iconic scenes, wasn't so present in that, or the Aztecs, where of course Barbara takes the lead, you know. So it was never really balanced in. Well, it sort of was balanced, but it wasn't really balanced in the stories themselves, and that becomes an even bigger issue when you know, as you say, there's you know, a considerably shorter time period that Doctor Who's actually on compared to what it was before.
Massively. But I don't know, it was directed well. Jamie Charles did a great job directing.
Yeah, I mean, there's some very nice shots, definitely.
It looked nice. The frog at the end was a bit weird.
Yeah, and, you know, I mean, as kind of in a way nice it is, you know, the whole fact that of the whole issue was, it just wants to make a friend, is very much a, you know, it feels like it should have been in a conclusion that should have come in the CBeebies show as opposed to...
Yeah. I would say it felt a bit Matt Smithy or Peter Capaldi-ish.
You got that? I didn't...
I felt it could have come in one of those seasons.
The only thing which made me think like that was the production values. Because if you look at the beginning of the season and you look at this episode, the production values have dropped, like, massively.
Yeah.
This is like they spent all their budget at the beginning.
No, but this was the second episode filmed. It was in the first block. Which is probably why.
I kind of think this is the budget episode, I think. Yeah, compared to everything else, although...
I'd say Demons of the Punjab was the budget episode.
Well, they had to fly a lot of people out. There were quite a lot of actors and... yeah, maybe.
Arachnids was semi-cheap.
Yeah, especially looking at the CG in that episode.
Yeah. I don't know, I feel it's one I could watch again and enjoy.
Yeah, it's one I could watch again and probably...
I knew it was going to be Grace, though, as soon as like the wife was there. I was like, I see.
Yeah.
But yeah,
you know, I was you know, the only thing I could think about then was kind of the direction that Dark Water, Death in Heaven went with it initially.
Yeah. I just can't believe the dad, like, just leaving his kid locked in a house. I'm sorry,
yeah, that was really... Like, you know, he doesn't get properly punished for that, really. I mean, I guess that's another issue, is that, you know, he's being terrible to his daughter. He puts her through practically mental torment, where they find her shaking, terrified in the closet, you know, and completely abandons her. And, you know, it's just, you know, it's all fine, it all gets back, you know, nobody cares. There's no punishment to him. There's nothing, there's no no sort of repercussions on him, I guess, other than, you know, he
sees the message on the wall, and it's probably like, I did a bad thing.
But that should have been obvious if you're intensely scaring your daughter to stay in the house and not move. Like,
yeah,
come on. That's really
work.
Morbid, and nobody really calls... I mean, they kind of half call it out, but, you know, there's nothing's done about that. This guy is messed up, and, you know, they don't properly address it, you know, which I guess also helps to contribute to the ending feeling dissatisfying. But, oh no, you know, made a friend with a frog. Alright, Grandad, duh! I'm
just annoyed they ruined that.
Again, Bradley Rawson's performance was so good, but Tosin Cole just does such a terrible... I mean, I put that down to the directing. Well, no, Jamie Charles' directing generally has been good, but whoever is... You know, if he's... I don't know. I don't know who to blame here, but... Yeah, that last line, especially, was just so wrongly inflected in every way that it just... It soured, well, even further soured. Okay, but yeah.
I find it weird that they've designed this like brand new TARDIS and they've barely had any scenes in it.
Yeah.
One thing I liked about the Moffat and Russell T Davies era is they actually spent quite a decent chunk of some episodes in TARDISes. You know, in the interior. It just feels like they've
Yeah.
wasted this really cool set, which they could have kind of established more.
Well, I think the thing about it, the biggest thing I noticed was the fact that they don't have any exits to other rooms. So it's just the console room. As you know, there's no. We've seen the entire thing. There's no doors or anything. There's no.
No, they're kind of just gaps which they walk through to other areas. Is what the little. They did a video tour, and there's just gaps in the wall which you can go.
That's not exactly visually indicative of that, because I don't think they'll really use that if it's such a small part of it.
The last design is still my favourite one, I think. For sure.
It's up there. It's up there.
But yeah, so next week the finale, the Battle of Ranskor Avkolos.
Avocado.
Yeah. Yeah. Fresh avocado. The Battle of Fresh avocado. Yeah, I don't know if it is Chris Chibnall. Could go good, could go bad. Let's see. I think he would have spent quite a bit of time on this one, with it being the finale.
Well, you would hope, but at the same time, he also wrote the first 5 stories. So I mean, well, kind of 4.5, but that's quite a lot. Spread across the entire season when he only had a year. Is it, or was it more? I don't know.
He had ages to write these.
Yeah.
2 years.
Okay, maybe if he came up with a really good idea. I'm not. I don't know. His stories seem to drop off, but maybe he's saving all of his best cards for the finale. I don't know.
So I mean, it's got Mark Addy. He's in Game of Thrones, and he's a really good actor.
Yeah, I mean, they've had some really strong actors. It's just how
they showed a shot which was in one of the trailers, and in the trailer it had a green sky, so it just shows that they used an ungreen screened thing in the trailer, which is really weird.
Why would they show that? Yeah,
I don't get it. Like literally, and like the sky's not even special. It's like literally just a cloudy sky.
The skies are made of diamonds.
Yeah.
Except not really. The skies are made of green screens.
Yeah, I just don't get it, but yeah. So the Doctor Who's been confirmed to air on New Year's Day at 7 p.m. So that's the thing. Yeah,
expect to see probably lower viewership than previous years for the special episodes.
Specials. Oh my God, Luther's at 9 p.m. Oh, I'm tuning in for that. New series. Lovely. Can't wait.
On New Year's or
New Year's Day? I wonder if that is the first episode of a new series.
It's kind of saying something when you talking about that almost more excitedly.
I absolutely love Luther, and well, it's so the last series was when we were in sick form, I think. So that was quite a while ago. So I've been waiting.
Deprived,
yeah. I don't know, but yeah, and then I can't believe that's it. That's it for Doctor Who, probably until about November.
It doesn't feel like it should be because it's
just too soon.
I mean, this series hasn't felt so long to justify it, really, compared to last season. It hasn't, and supposedly they don't have enough time to do another full one for next year if the rumours are true. So it's especially actually if you look at an episode like this where it's an outside shot and 3 rooms, how is that difficult to film, to get together? Of course all productions are difficult, but is it any more difficult to when they had 12, 13 episodes in it? I don't think so. In fact, I'd say most of those were more complex than what we got this week. So it's okay, you can tell me that, you can say this, but looking at it, it's not really showing.
Well, the order they filmed was The Woman Who Fell to Earth, It Takes You Away, that was the first block. Then there was The Ghost Monument, then Rosa. Then there was Arachnids in the UK and The Witchfinders. Then the Saranga Conundrum and then Kablam. And the final block was Demons of the Punjab and the Battle of Ranskor Avocado.
Yeah.
So, this was the very last one they filmed. So hopefully...
Well, yeah, as you...
I had a lot of time to work on it.
Well, yeah. Hopefully that's where the budget from this episode went.
I mean, in the trailer, she's like, "I know that voice." So, is this the big?
I
thing?
don't think so. It could be. I mean, unless it's something returning from this season, I don't think it's going to be anything classic or anything.
What do you think it's going to be?
I don't know. Either they're gonna. I mean, they could finally follow up with the whole Tim Shaw stuff, but I'm not sure this really looks like it. So, my gut feeling is that they're gonna. I guess do what they did a little bit this episode, but yeah, just kind of pull something supposedly out of the Doctor's past that never really was there in the Doctor's past. That we haven't seen the Doctor's past. Just pull something out of nowhere, but claim it as something the Doctor knows of. I guess maybe.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Just looking back though, like setting up the Stenza as the entire series villain would have been such a good move because it was actually a really good monster. Like, why did they not utilize that? I would have been happy for a new classic.
Well,
a new classic New Who villain to be the Stenza. I thought they had a great design. I think they could have really become like this, the Chibnall era's Weeping Angels, or Cybermen. The monster which defines this era.
I think maybe the idea came in their head, but then they were probably like. As Christian said before the series, we're strictly not doing a series arc or anything, and I think he's very much, kind of being very steadfast on it, which is why I was, questioning whether or not that was even going to be a thing for the finale, because I think they were pretty adamant against that. I think perhaps the Ghost Monument was possibly intended for later, or maybe not, I don't know, but if it was, then maybe not talking about them so soon would have been a bit more justified, just as a nod, as opposed to an actual story arc.
Yeah, because it made it seem too much like an arc. Like, the Stens are going to be mentioned every week, something like that.
Indeed.
It didn't happen in Rosa, it didn't happen in Arachnids. Everyone was like, okay, the Saranga conundrum, it's going to happen here. Then it didn't happen. And at that point, we're like, because the Saranga conundrum sucks. But yeah. I mean, I feel like the series has picked up a bit at the end. It dipped in the middle, and now it's kind of getting better. But it's just a whole lot of meh.
I mean, I guess we'll probably go on a full-on thing about this next week. But, coming off Series 10 especially, I just can't help but feel... Well, just kind of... I guess not upset, but just kind of... a little miffed for the whole thing. It just hasn't... None of it's been consistent, None of it tone-wise, production-wise, anything-wise, really. It's just... It's been such a mixed bag, and they don't really seem to have a clear vision for what they want the show to be. Is it a serious and, heavy political... Well, not necessarily political, but, important moral series... Is it, something slightly more comedic, lighthearted, funny, with perhaps a darker edge here and there? Is it...
I think the issue is it's just lost its fun part. Kablam and the Witchfinders were kind of really what this series should have been.
Well, no, I think if they go with the dark tone, that's fine. Just stick to that. Just embrace it a bit more, and keep it consistent throughout the series. Because we really like Rosa. We like what they did with it. And, they could have, not necessarily that the series should have been dark, but if they kept it on a darker tone, instead of fluctuating between dark, light, or we... not really working mishmashes in most cases, such as this week, then, if it kept not that, of course, Doctor Who is, almost like the king of variety in a lot of ways, and there are always, episodes which, are different or tonally different to the last, but, they feel not to stray too far from the bound set, I guess. This one has just kind of been... everywhere, off the... you could watch Rosa, and then you watch an episode like Kablam, or, like the Witchfinders, and it feels like a completely different show. Like, I wouldn't have said that about like any of the previous two series.
I don't think that's a bad thing though, because if you watch series 4, you have something like Midnight, and then you have something like The Unicorn and the Wasp. I think it really just depends in running order.
Well, actually, I think more the case is the tone is somewhat the case, but I think the bigger issue is character consistency, particularly on the case of the Doctor. Because, in Series 4, believably, the Doctor could be doing what he did in Unicorn and the Wasp and doing what he did in Midnight because of the kind of character they created, And David Tennant's performance kept consistent. Jodie's performance as a Doctor, probably not on her own fault, but has not been consistent really at all. Or really, if there is any consistency, it's not one that's particularly entirely left a great impression, I suppose, or a memorable impression. I suppose not a. She's been doing good, but there's nothing definably strongly her. That's just another conversation I was getting into with my parents. But Capaldi, from the offset, from Deep Breath, not that I'm the biggest fan of that story in any way, shape, or form, but like he, especially towards the end of the episode, you get some really strong moments, and you like, yes, this is Doctor, this is what he does, and this is how he's gonna act. It's really quite a strong start for Capaldi. And I can say about most of the other Doctors, and certainly Woman Who Fell to Earth is a good story, but there wasn't any truly character-defining moments in that. And you'd hope, maybe we'll get that later, but we haven't really got it. Not in a this is the character that we got. This is what makes our Doctor now the Doctor, I guess.
In some way, I say she's most like Peter Davison's Doctor. That is just the good person, and that's kind of it, which I find a bit morally boring.
Even that has been kind of inconsistent.
I like the Doctor being questionable sometimes, like the Sylvester McCoy and David Tennant.
A bit of whimsy, yeah. I said at the beginning of the season that a lot of her mannerisms and whatnot was very similar to that of David Tennant, and I still think that, so she's like got the personality of Peter Davison, the mannerisms of David Tennant, and maybe a little bit of Matt Smith sprinkled in there somewhere. I guess with a kind of a bit more kooky personality, I suppose. But it's just, I guess she doesn't have anything of her own, I guess, at this point, really.
Hopefully next season they would have kind of got something a bit more.
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at Sylvester McCoy's first season and then his last, 2 and 3, they're completely different.
Well, that was for a lot of reasons. Like, the production for that was a mess. Like, an utter catastrophe.
Bit of a mess in some ways, I'd say.
Well, I mean, not as far as they've been willing to tell us.
Well, they wouldn't tell us if it was a nightmare.
Of course not. Of course not. But if that's what we're reading between the lines as, I'm very worried for how things are going to go kind of going forward, because basically, I mean, the whole Sylvester McCoy thing was like the whole season was more or less rushed, and while the script they replaced the script editor, who had his strong ideas where he wanted the show to go, and of course he was able to implement them into 2 and 3, and really improve from there, but it was kind of too late for the first season, because it was all kind of hashed together very quickly. I really hope that isn't the case with this series. It hasn't really felt like that though. I mean, that's the thing. It hasn't felt rushed. It's just not.
It hasn't found its stride yet. I think it's just it's still kind of a learning to walk before. I think it tried to run before it could walk. It's like, we know exactly what we want to achieve, and they haven't quite achieved it, so they're kind of stumbling.
Yeah, I mean, the first episode felt like a true cinematic, evolution of the show. And Rosa, when we got to that, actually no, the first 3 episodes from a
cinematic perspective. Yeah.
Yes, it felt such a different show. It felt like a real big step up from what we'd gotten before in production quality. And, it felt like this was our new era. This was like, we're going to get some amazing stuff. And granted, I didn't like the Ghost Monument at all, but I can't knock its visual design, certainly. So, I mean, from that perspective, the series has just gotten worse and worse and worse, really, until we're stuck in 3 rooms and, a slight outdoor area, which,
I'd say Kaplan was pretty good. Demons of the Punjab had some decent...
Kablam looks like an episode from the Moffat era, really, from a visual design. It doesn't look like the cinematic wonders that we were promised before the season and we got in the first 3 episodes. Like, it's been such a downgrade as the series has gone on that, I can't help but feel like they kind of copped out, I guess, on what they were kind of promising for where they wanted to take the series, because it hasn't entirely done that. It started to do that, and then it just stopped.
Yeah, the first episode was just so good with its cinematic look that, since has been a bit...
And again, Ghost Monument and Rosa continues this, and that's what makes it all the more disappointing.
Oh, well. I think that kind of wraps it up for It Takes You Away.
Yeah, more than wraps it up, takes it away.
So we'll see you guys next week for the Battle of Ranscore Avocado.
Yeah.
Hopefully it'll be good things.
Let's hope.
I really want it to be a good finale.
Oh, of course.
Just to go off
we all do. I mean, of course we want it to be a good finale. It would really help, the overall impression of the series, at least for me, if we got a really strong finale. But all the best finales, especially in the new series, have been 2-parters. And after the spectacular of last year's, it's got a pretty big bar to
It already puts itself at a disadvantage, really.
Yeah.
Making itself a single-parter. I didn't like it when they first did it for the Wedding of River Song, and I didn't like it when they did it for Name of a Doctor. It semi-worked because it was setting up Day of a Doctor, but it just never worked. Like those single parts.
Yeah, because it doesn't make it feel epic enough unless you really extended the time of the finale, which I don't think they have done, have they?
I don't know, actually. I don't know how long the finale special is.
Because if we've got a cinema-length finale, that might justify it, but, I don't think we're getting that, as far as I know. I think they would have made a bigger deal out of it if they were.
Could be 60 minutes. I wonder if it's on the schedule. Yeah. If it's 60, then I'll be a bit more like, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. Let's see, am I able to jump days? Yes, I can. Sunday 9th. Okay, Doctor Who starts at 18:25. Nope, it is 50 minutes.
Yep. I kind of figured.
Oh dear. Okay, well, let's hope for the best.
Yep.
Alright, we'll see you next time, guys. Thank you very much for listening if you made it this far. We'll see you next week, hopefully. If not, bye!
Bye!